Hello and welcome to Carib. My name is Alison Glasgow. This week on Carib, we'll bring you two segments. In the first, we introduce Evergreen Productions, a cultural performing group based in the Washington metropolitan area. Evergreen seeks to keep alive the rich culture of the Caribbean. They link the past with the present and bridge the future by blending poetry, song, and dance with the rhythms of the African drum. Later, we'll talk with Ron Robinson, who was on tour with his production, Raise Up. But now, Evergreen Productions with Poetry in the Park.
Yes, man. Today, oh, today, on this glorious day, with all its splendors, we are gathered. Yes, brothers and sisters, to listen to words of comfort and grief as we put reality into words and music. Yes, brothers and sisters, words and music. Look up, oh, lift your heads up high to the skies. What the eyes behold, that's what you desire. But oh no, do not allow the eyes to be deceived, for they can be very, very deceptive.
Stand up, black women of the world. They're accusing Winnie, she who is the model for all the sisters of the land. Stand up, black women of the world. They've taken the comfort from our beds. Stand up, black women of the world. Our men are being jailed and killed all over the lands. Stand up, black women of the world. Winnie has suffered it all. Stand up, black women of the world. Our strength is being tapped. Stand up, what new indignities will we endure? Our tears, our link, we cry at night. Stand up, black women of the world. Who will give us our future? Who will comfort our daughters? Stand up, who will save our men? They're accusing Winnie, she who is the model for all the sisters of the lands. Stand up, black women of the world, and yell. Stop! We've had enough! Winnie has suffered it all. Stand up, black women of the world, and yell. Stop killing and jailing our children and men across the lands. Stand up, black women of the world. Put a stop to the injustices across the lands. We have suffered it all, degraded, left alone. Stand up, black women of the world, and yell. Stop! We've had enough! Leave Winnie! She who is the model for all the sisters of the lands, and us alone. Let us grow old with dignity and grace, with the love of our children and mates. Black women of the world, stand up!
Genocide. 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 Genocide.
The crack cocaine, it's no game.
Genocide. Genocide.
The crack cocaine, it's no game.
Genocide. Genocide.
Children dying in the streets.
Genocide. Genocide.
Homeless people, nothing to eat.
Genocide. Genocide.
Children today has lost their pride. The cost of education has gone sky high. My brothers and sisters, fill the jails, ain't got no money to make no bail. Ball players making millions per year while teachers fight for decent pay. Drugs rampant on the streets. No policeman on the beat. Infant mortality is on the rise. Yes, the children are dying like flies. The crack cocaine, it's no game.
Genocide. Genocide.
The crack cocaine, it's no game.
Genocide. Genocide.
Yes, the crack cocaine, it's no game.
Genocide. Genocide.
The crack cocaine, it's no game.
Genocide. Genocide.
A kid with a Uzi and he thinks that's neat because killing his brother is just another feat because the guns today dominates the streets. Who put the guns in the neighborhood? You know who. Who else would? Who put the drugs in the neighborhood? You know who. Who else would? The crack cocaine, it's no game.
Genocide. Genocide.
The crack cocaine, it's no game.
Genocide. Genocide.
It's not a right thing. It's not a black thing. It's the wrong thing. So do the right thing. It's not a white thing. It's not a black thing. It's the wrong thing. So do the right thing. I said the crack cocaine, it's no game.
Genocide. Genocide.
The crack cocaine, it's no game.
Genocide. Genocide.
So much pollution in the air and the people at the top, they just don't care. Insecticides infects the foods. Prescription drugs that gives you the blues. Child molestation on the rise. Women are raped, no one hears their cries. The crack cocaine, it's no game.
Genocide. Genocide.
The crack cocaine, it's no game.
Genocide. Genocide.
It's not a black thing, it's not a white thing, it's the wrong thing, so do the right thing. It's not a black thing, it's not a white thing, it's the wrong thing, so do the right thing. Yes, the crack cocaine, it's no game.
Genocide. Genocide.
The crack cocaine, it's no game.
Genocide. Genocide.
The cocaine trade makes billions per year, so many people trying to get a share. AIDS killing us everywhere, and the people who design it just don't care. Apartments congested, infested, and the tenants molested. The writing is on the wall. The genocide plan will fall. And something else I want you to know. You will reap whatever you sow. The crack cocaine, it's no game.
Genocide. Genocide.
The crack cocaine, it's no game.
Genocide. Genocide.
Well, a Rasta man is a righteous man. He's a polite man, a spiritual man, a deep man, a healthy man, a cultural man. Yes, a Rasta man is a God man. He's a wise man, a thoughtful man, a forgiving man not, but he's a forgetful man. He's a loving man, a sharing man, and a disciplined man. And you know, Junior, he's also a physical man and a no money man. You know, I think a Rasta man all the way. Let's go over and meet him. Hi, hello. See, I told you. A Rasta man is just like us. No difference. So now you know all about the Rasta man. What else did you guys learn?
Chant. Historically, poets have been known to set the stage for social change. Many are prophets, forecasting both evil and good. Some have been killed, banished, tortured. I don't mind. But the poetic spirit continues to manifest itself. Burling on my mind, burling on my mind, burling on my mind, burling on my mind, burling on my mind. A wall, a structure, removal, created human interaction, solidarity, acclaimed democracy, justice, even tension, exploitation, decadence, guilt, insecurity, and ploy. Burling on my mind, burling on my mind, burling on my mind, burling on my mind. What about our walls? Human walls, constructed through deceit and monopoly capital. The invisible wall that separates and isolates universal peoples. Provocative, burling on my mind, burling on my mind, burling on my mind. They talk about Poland, Bulgaria, Bolivia, Afghanistan, Romania, Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Chile, West and East Germany reuniting. What about humankind? Not forgetting Burundi, Bangladesh, Palestine, Lithuania, South Africa, Guyana, Haiti, El Salvador, Honduras, Panama, Peru, Philippines, Ethiopia, Guatemala, and Cuba raises eyebrows. Burling on my mind, burling on my mind, burling on my mind, burling on my mind. A wall, a structure, a monument planted. Young black men and the criminal justice system. Controversial. The Sentencing Project report says 1 in 4, 23% black men in the age group of 20 through 29 is either in prison, jail, on probation, or parole. Prison control prisoners. Prison control prisoners. Prison control prisoners. Prison control prisoners. Build more prison. Build more prison. Human monuments is the cry. Walls. Who are the caretakers? Soldiers. 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 Soldiers returning from Europe. Some say there are 30 to 40 million blacks in the controlled territory of the US of A. Freddie says unequivocally 50 million. Is there an African and Caribbean count? Order. Burling on my mind. Burling on my mind. Burling on my mind. Burling on my mind. A wall. Removal creates recolonization. Soldiers. Soldiers. Deployed. 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 Soldiers. Soldiers. Deployed. Deployed. Africa. Asia. The Caribbean. South America. South Africa. Central America. The Middle East. Soldiers. 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 How can we eradicate the invisible wall of insecurity, greed, dominance for universal brotherhood among all humankind? Burling on my mind, 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 burling on my mind.
Ron Robinson has long been known to the Guyanese public as an actor and broadcaster, but his first love has always been the theater, in particular Caribbean theater. Since founding Guyana's first professional theater company in the early 80s, Ron has presented a series of diverse works to ever-appreciative audiences. We caught up with him in New York during his recent tour of the United States.
Well, with regard to Caribbean theater on the whole, I think that the attempts that have been made, as I've mentioned quite often, the attempts we have made to have a pan-Caribbean theater, for example, have been most unsuccessful. One of the reasons, I think, is that we still consider ourselves, where theater is concerned, as Jamaicans, Barbadians, Grenadians, Castilians, Guyanese, Trinidadians, and so on. I think, for example, the Jamaicans feel very proud of their theater, which is definitely the mecca of theater in the Caribbean, thanks to places like the Jamaica School of Drama. They have produced some of the finest Caribbean dramatists. And unfortunately, there is a feeling that unless, among some people, that unless you go to the Jamaican School of Drama or some such institution, you really are not, at the top of the profession. Unless you are, like Errol Jones of Trinidad, who's paid his dues over several years and has proven time and time again that he is perhaps the finest Caribbean actor to date. Unless you're like Wilbert Holder, whose charisma was so very powerful and whose acting was even more powerful, that you made it and you were accepted. But unfortunately, I think that what has happened in the Caribbean is that we are still very insular where theater is concerned. We still consider Jamaican theater, Guyanese theater, and so on. So until we can interrelate more as a Caribbean grouping, as we do in cricket, for example, until we can do that, until we can think of each other as fellow actors, fellow dramatists, we are not going to get anywhere. We're going to keep hitting our heads against the wall.
Jenny, I'll feel so proud watching you walking down the aisle. You're like a daughter to me, the little girl I never had.
Thanks again, Aunt Mona. My mom died when I was so young. I never knew a mother, but you made me feel real at home since I arrived.
Anyway, child, off to the market, eh?
Why don't you stay a while? Dad's upstairs having a nap, but he'll be down soon.
I hope he don't wake up before I leave. Me and he always rowing, He have this Yankee business about him, and I table with that.
Well, what about me? I'm American.
Well, with you it's different. You born and grow up there. But he born right here in this house. He used to pitch marble right here in this yard. How he become a Yankee?
Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Felicitations of the post-meridian.
Hello, Professor. We meet again.
Yes, my child. Our initial encounter was inordinately brief, but since you are marvelously of superior character and a prepossessing purveyor of female pulchritude, I have ambulated myself to these environs to bestow my most magnanimous expostulations that your conjugal sojourn will be cementatious, felicitatious, and profligate. In other words, my child, happy life with plenty children.
You must write that out for me, Professor.
I certainly will, my child. And where is your father, your paternal parent? I haven't seen him since he's been to the United States, and I've been doing.
He's upstairs having a nap.
Why, I beg your pardon. Do allow me to introduce an old friend of mine, Mr. Sankar, better known as a Sponger.
Pleased to meet you, Mr. Sponger. I mean, Mr. Sankar.
Pleased to meet you, girl. I know your father good. I used to pitch marble with you right down the hay when we were small boys. I used to bust his tail. I know the professor from them days too. I could get a drink.
Whoever name you Sponger, name you right. Who tell you we got liquor?
Muscat liquor? Everywhere in Muscat liquor to bless the proceedings.
sponge on the invitation list, so how you know about it?
Well, actually, the professor tell me, but I didn't know already. He didn't have to tell me.
So what you mean by that?
Well, I smell it.
Oh.
I can smell a wedding. Hindu, Muslim, Christian, or Novarian. I can smell a wedding anywhere, anytime. If you think about it, how Red Ants does know when food about? Drop a grain of rice on the ground and see what happens. 5 minutes later, ants all over it. How they know? Nobody put a notice in the Red Ants newspaper, but quick time they find it and hustling to move it. You know how they know? The nose, girl. The N-O-S-E, nose.
When Dave Martins was asked to do Raise Up, he had a big task in that here was a play being written to commemorate slavery or emancipation of slavery. How do you treat that play and get the audience to react to it? How do you get the audience to go to see this thing about shackled hands and feet and chains and whips and executions and so on? So what Dave did is he used that as the pivot on which he based the 150 years since emancipation and the positive aspects that have been achieved by the Caribbean people since emancipation. So he's used it as a background, but he hasn't wallowed in it to the extent that people will become frustrated or will say, oh, we've heard all this already. So the play is set in the present. It's set in Guyana, where a Guyanese who has left since he was 16 to emigrate to the United States. He comes back with his daughter, who's getting married. And he is of the opinion that this whole thing about slavery should be forgotten, should be swept under the carpet. It's all nonsense, and it's nothing to brag about that your ancestors were slaves. His sister, on the other hand, who has lived in Guyana all this time, is saying, no, 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 no. It's very important for us to tell our children and to keep that tradition going, that they must know where they came from, so they know where they are and they know where they're going. And Dave uses the 2 hours of Raise Up to promote or to push that positive thing, that, okay, slavery was there, but it has made us better people as a result of it. And we must know that historical link that we have.
She wants to know where she come from and where she going.
I'll tell you where she come from. She come from her mama, God rest her soul, and I'll tell you where she's going. Back to New York, where black folks is getting it on looking after today. New York is the place, lady.
So why the hell they come back home here for the wedding, eh?
Well, you know, we can't get money out of this foul up country, so we're just trying to make use of the money that's left in Mama's estate. And besides, having a slave as an ancestor ain't nothing to brag about, lady.
And slaving away in America ain't nothing to brag about either.
Me? Slaving away in the US of A? You gotta be kidding. I'm just a hard-working man.
It's true, Aunt Mona. He works hard day and night. He's got 2 jobs.
Wait. You mean to tell me that with all this bragging, you come back here bragging, you got to do 2 jobs to make enough money to live in the US of A? Well, I tell you.
So, hey, man.
I was surprised to learn that Americans in some places were quite uneducated about Caribbean life. I had heard about this. I had been told, well, look, expect anything. But I find that what is the pity is that something as important as the history of people, and that history is linked between Caribbean people and American people in many respects. For example, we performed in Mississippi, where the interwoven cultural links are very, very clear. And yet, I think that the Caribbean students, the Caribbean children, have been educated, I don't want to say in a superior way, but in a more rounded way, a more complete way, than the American students we have found who are non-Caribbean, who are born Americans of Afro-American origin. But we have been surprised, I should say, at the response, because many of the people say, I didn't even know that slavery existed in the Caribbean. And this is a shocker, because the same Igbo and Yoruba and various tribes that came from Western Africa across the Middle Passage as slaves, some came here to the United States, some went to the Caribbean. And as I told many, a workshop participant, because we did many workshops on the way, I told them, we may even be related. We might be fourth cousins, second time removed, because of our Afro heritage. And they're surprised at this. It's as though they didn't even know that the Caribbean black is a descendant of African origin, you know. So that was the first eye-opener that I got, the first cultural shock that I got on the tour.
People talking about opium, only running their mouth. They don't know what the France they're talking about. Although we keep explaining, trying to make it clear, popular misconceptions still prevail. Opium is simply the notion that there is a power in man, power to influence action. If you believe that you can, and you fix, and you store up your banana trees, you get a mosquito heart and a red ant big toe, some propose a light up and a baseball elbow, sandfly eye, a worm backbone, and 155 chicken hawk shin bone. Then you mix it all up with some slow little bit. And walking, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Thank you for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed this week's show. Please join us next time when we return with Carib. I am Alison Glasgow.
The hardest thing about opium, let me give you the news, is to find the ingredients that we use. Up and down you will travel, very often in vain, trying to find a retail monkey brain. Opium is really experience, how to assess and relate, knowing what kind of ingredients make you must